What red flags should prospective truck drivers look for so that they won't be exploited by their trucking companies on their trucking jobs? Hello, this is Vicki Simons with TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com. If you've been watching some of our videos, the subject that I had on Special Sunday just a few days ago was about the driver trainee. Okay, and then on Monday I talked about the free CDL, and these are pet peeves of mine that some of these driver trainees are going in unprepared, and there's a bunch of time and money that can be lost there. And tonight I promised you on Leadership Wednesday, since we talk about the thing having to do with vision, truck driver jobs, and career options, about being exploited in a trucking job. And this is another pet peeve of mine. And there are some ways that drivers set themselves up to be exploited, and one of those is, as I covered on Monday, by getting a free CDL. When you put yourself in the hands of a trucking company that holds both the key to your CDL and your ability to earn money in their hands, okay, you have nothing to play with, okay? They hold all of the cards in their hands. So you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position. And so you want to be able to go into the trucking industry realistically. In fact, I'm going to be using the resource from our website called Being Exploited: Unscrupulous Trucking Companies Trap Truckers. And one of the things I talked about was the utilization trap, okay, and how that gets sprung. Some of these, what I call bottom feeders of the trucking industry, these trucking companies, okay, it just occurred to me after all these years why it is that some of these companies may be trying to exploit their drivers, okay? If they have a bunch of junk trucks and they're putting these people out in these junk trucks that keep breaking down and they're not making any miles, and they're trying basically to force these guys out of the industry by keeping them broke and untrained, okay, they don't care whether they don't finish their training. Okay, if these people have signed a contract that they're going to pay a certain amount of money regardless of whether they finish their training, that's free money for them. Okay, it just occurred to me that's what could be happening. Basically, what they're doing is they're taking something for nothing. Okay, and you deserve better than that. You deserve better than that. I don't care who you are. You deserve better than that. Okay, you got a situation where, as you know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. If you put yourself in a position where you're getting a so-called free CDL or free CDL training, okay, they're going to want something back as a result of that. Okay, and that is, you have to sign a contract that says I'm going to stay with the company a certain amount of miles or a certain amount of loads or a certain amount of time or a certain amount of trips, whatever it is, whatever their bottom line is, okay? But the thing is, if they don't give you those dispatches, or if the truck is in such poor repair that you can't get it, obviously you're going to be exploited. Okay, so don't do it. There have been plenty of other people who have had this situation happen. You avoid it because you know what these red flags are. One of the things that you need to do, in my opinion, my husband's opinion, is go to an independent truck driver training school so that when you graduate from that school, you have a CDL in your hands and nobody can take it away from you. Okay, you're not depending upon a trucking company to give you one because you have finished your training. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have some sort of loans to pay back if you're going to a school where you had to take a loan out in order to get it. So you want to pay that back as soon as possible. But let me just put the scenario out, and I've got this picture of a little mouse trap with a dollar bill stuck in it. People want to reach for the dollar bill and then they get slapped by the trap. Okay, imagine that you've entered a trucking company's training program. You've signed the contract thinking that all is well. You made it through the program and you're assigned your first truck. As a newbie, you may be assigned to drive a ragged out piece of junk, I said ragged out hunk of junk, truck that's already had most of its useful life used up. Okay, it might require a good bit of repairs just to keep it going. The more your company used truck breaks down, the more you'll spend waiting and not driving and hence not earning any money. And of course, your time is valuable, drivers. Okay, some of the bottom feeder trucking companies, the unscrupulous ones, know that they have you on the hook, so they may not feel compelled to get you back home on a regular basis. And if you have family back home, it may be weeks or months before you can see them. In fact, you may be purposely kept out on the road so that the company can recoup its investment from you. If the truck that you're in is costing the company more than they want to pay in repairs, the easiest way to avoid paying for repairs is to simply not run the truck. That means that you'll be sitting in it without driving and without earning any money. They keep you poor, no income, and owing them at the same time. And guess who's exploited? You are. All right, so the old Tennessee Ernie Ford song about 16 tons, I know you guys probably know what that is, all right? With a miner owing his soul to the company store is what would come to mind. All right, so understand that some trucking companies don't utilize their trucks or employees well. Free money for them. Okay, I did put that in there. Okay, you've got two situations on your hand. All right, what options do you have if you're being exploited like this? Either bear up under the grief long enough to fulfill your obligations with the company for the contracted employment period and move on to a better trucking company, assuming that you already have one lined up who will take you with the experience that you have, or cut your losses, quit your job, and risk never getting another job in the trucking industry ever again. Okay, you can make matters even worse by abandoning your truck, and of course we don't recommend this option at all. Okay, in the second scenario, you'll still owe the trucking company for the cost of the company-paid CDL training. In addition to that, you could get a black mark on your DAC report as well as your employment history. All right, you certainly never want the reputation of being a quitter. Given the litigious attitude of some folks in our world today, we wouldn't put it past an unscrupulous trucking company to trump up charges against or sue a driver who quits or even complains about the way that they do their business. All right, we addressed part of this issue on a page where we respond to an inquiry about attending driving school. Okay, and you may want to read the post from Big John 54 on one of the pages of another website for more information. We do have over 1,400 pages on our website with money-saving tips, also for ones that help you save time, which obviously your time is worth money. All right, and obviously some of our pages, like the ones I've been talking about for the last few nights, are geared towards prospective and fairly new drivers. Yeah, my husband said we have no regrets about going to an independent school. All right, we didn't know the trucking company anything. Okay, another thing that you want to be concerned about is, in addition to the free CDL thing, is signing any kind of a contract that you'll stay with a company for a certain period of time. Okay, be careful. Okay, things could get rough. There are, shall we say, management changes from time to time, and I know that during the time that one of the truckers about whom I wrote on our website, there was a situation where there was a change in the policy that the truckers were going to be responsible for any sort of fines that came as a result of their trucks having gotten some sort of a fine from, like an inspection. Okay, something was wrong. Even a light bulb being out, they were responsible for it. And the thing about it was that was a condition of employment. And obviously that's not a situation where a company driver should ever be responsible for. If it's a company truck, they're not owner-operators. They shouldn't put themselves under that sort of pressure. But anyway, let me press on and finish up quickly with the money-saving tips. I said to avoid the situation of being exploited as a new truck driver, here are our recommendations. Number one, although you may be flat broke, see if somehow you can scrape together or borrow enough money to go to an independent truck driver training school. That way, if the company that hires you proves unscrupulous, you can move on. Be careful that you don't just hop from job to job. Many companies require a solid year, including the all-important winter driving season, of trucking experience before they will hire a driver. Okay, be sure to pay back what you borrowed in a timely manner. And we talk about that on our federal student loans page. All right, number two, have in place an emergency fund in case your employer leaves you stranded. And I think it wasn't too long after we started TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com, there was a company, and they were sued, okay, for leaving their truckers stranded on the road somewhere right around Christmas time of all times of the year. So anyway, if you have an emergency fund, that way at least you'll be able to get back home. And when I talked about that, there's a page on our site where we talked about long-term, the worst case scenario is, for example, if a trucker was up in Washington State in the farthest northwestern part of the country and he had to get back down to the lower part of Florida, all the way on the farthest southeast end, how much would it take to buy a bus ticket from one end of the country to the other? So just consider all of the things that you will have to do. All right, number 3, do your due diligence first to find out which companies are the bottom feeders that treat truck drivers like pieces of raw meat. Avoid them at all costs. We've read in the trucking forums that the good companies that hire drivers fresh out of truck driver training school don't advertise. All right, visit these forums online to thoroughly research trucking companies before you even put in your application. When you read a bad report about a company, realize that while some drivers are impossible to please, others may have very valid concerns and complaints. Weigh carefully the good and the bad points. Every trucking company has both. I hope that you all are getting some value from this. By the way, since my husband mentioned this, signing a contract can put you on the hook. It'd be a good idea for you to have, if you have such like a prepaid legal type plan in place where you have an attorney who can review various contracts and legal forms for you, get them to do that. That way that you know what you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line. Do your due diligence. All right, one other thing, and I'll leave it with this. Do not think it is possible to learn how to drive a commercial motor vehicle in a short period like 3 weeks. Some CDL mills, and when I use the word mill, I mean they're just grinding you through as fast as they can, lure prospective truckers into their schools with illusions of grandeur and big bucks. Don't set yourself up for being exploited through greed. Use common sense. Learn both the direct and indirect costs involved in getting started in trucking. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All right, never let anyone pressure you into signing something that is costly. It is your life. It is your time in the industry. You should know about it with your eyes wide open. Okay, so that being said, tomorrow night is Thoughtful Thursday. We're going to be talking about some issues like, budgeting, money, and saving. That's one of my favorite topics to talk about, as you know from our website. So that being said, we're going to sign off tonight and say thank you for all the likes and the hearts and the shares, the comments. If you have any questions, get in touch with us through our website, TruckDriversMoneySavingTips.com. And until next time, my husband Mike and I wish you safe travels and lots of money-saving opportunities on the road. Have a great night, drivers. Thanks.